7-year-old girl disappears from her home. No witnesses, no clues. But then investigators check a delivery van's camera, and what they see changed everything. Viewer discretion is advised. You're listening to Pale Walks. Athena Strand was born on May 25, 2015, in the small American town of Duncan, Oklahoma. Her parents eventually divorced, and her father moved to Texas. Athena stayed with her mother, but her father remained involved in her life and visited her whenever possible. Sometimes her mother would also bring Athena to see him. Despite the divorce, they maintained a good relationship, and her mother wanted her daughter to spend plenty of time with her dad. Later, both parents remarried. Athena gained 2 younger sisters, with whom she was very close, always trying to spend as much time as possible with them. She was a typical, happy child who brought joy to everyone around her with her positive attitude. She loved playing and spending time outdoors. In late 2022, when she was 7 years old, Athena temporarily moved to her father's home in Texas. She was supposed to stay there until the New Year holidays and then return to her mother in Oklahoma. During this time, Athena attended a local elementary school. Her father's home was in a remote rural area surrounded by forests and fields. The girl enjoyed spending time in nature with her dad and got along well with his new wife, Ashley. On November 30, Athena returned home from school on the bus as usual, around 4:15 p.m. Her father and grandfather were out hunting, and she was home with Ashley. That evening, Athena was in bad mood, which led to an argument between her and Ashley. Eventually, Athena got upset and went to her room, while Elizabeth went to the kitchen to prepare dinner. About 20 minutes later, she went to call Athena for dinner, but the girl was gone. Ashley searched the entire house and looked outside, but Athena was nowhere to be found. She then called her husband's relatives, who lived just a few hundred meters away, as Athena sometimes visited them, but they said they hadn't seen her. Ashley immediately called her husband and told him what had happened. He told her to contact the police right away and rushed home. She called 911 around 6:40 p.m., and officers arrived at the house within 14 minutes. Ashley explained the situation and shared her version of what had happened. She believed Athena might have run away due to their earlier argument. However, Athena's relatives seriously doubted this. First of all, the girl was only 7 and had never wandered far from home before. Secondly, it was already evening and Athena was afraid of the dark. Initially, the police were suspicious of Ashley, mostly because she waited 40 minutes before contacting them. But after listening to her story about searching the house and calling relatives, officers concluded she was likely telling the truth. They immediately began a ground search. Even though it was dark outside, they started sweeping through the forests and fields within several miles of the house. The primary theory was that Athena had wandered off and gotten lost in the dark. Police concentrated their efforts on covering that area. They also considered the possibility of an abduction, but found no clues to support it. There were no signs of forced entry. Ashley hadn't heard any noises or screams, and neighbors hadn't seen anything suspicious that evening. Athena's relatives and concerned residents joined the search. Her mother rushed to the area as soon as she heard about the disappearance. The search continued until nearly 5 a.m., but no trace of Athena was found. The situation was complicated by the fact that the terrain was difficult to navigate, especially at night. At 7 a.m., police resumed the search with even more officers. As the news spread throughout the county, hundreds of volunteers joined in. Some scoured the area on horseback or ATVs, while drones and helicopters with thermal imaging were deployed. Unfortunately, they still couldn't find Athena that day. Police were increasingly concerned for her safety, as it was the beginning of winter. While Texas is a southern state, temperatures that week dropped to around 50 degrees. Athena had been wearing light clothing, and surviving in such weather would have been extremely difficult. On the third day, the search efforts were expanded, with officers covering an area up to 10 miles from the house. They also brought in investigators to look into a possible criminal angle. While initially there was no clear evidence of an abduction, authorities increasingly doubted that Athena had left home on her own. They had already searched many kilometers in every direction without finding any sign of the girl. The idea that a 7-year-old could have traveled that far without being seen by anyone seemed highly unlikely. Investigators began trying to identify everyone who had been near Athena's home that evening, a difficult task as their house was surrounded by trees and set dozens of meters away from the main road. There were no surveillance cameras in their area. Still, they soon found their first lead. A delivery had been made to the house that same evening. Detectives contacted FedEx and learned that the delivery was handled by a third-party contractor. They reached out to the subcontractor, who confirmed which van had been at the house that night. Fortunately for investigators, each of these vans was equipped with a dashboard camera. Police requested the footage from November 30. When they reviewed the video from the time the van arrived at the house, they saw something deeply disturbing. The driver could be seen dragging a girl who closely resembled Athena into the van. Investigators quickly identified the driver, 31-year-old Tanner Horner. Police immediately went to his residence and arrested him on suspicion of abduction. He was brought in for questioning. As soon as detectives told him they had video evidence from the van, Horner began to talk. He said that he had indeed delivered the package to Athena's home that night. While backing up the van, he claimed to have felt a bump and got out to see what it was. He said he found Athena lying on the ground and realized he had accidentally hit her with the vehicle. However, upon getting closer, Horner said the girl appeared to be unharmed. She was conscious, not crying, and even spoke to him. According to Horner, she told him she would tell her father what happened, and that's when he panicked. He then brought her into the van, unsure of what to do. Athena continued speaking to him and told him her name. Horner claimed he feared getting in legal trouble and, in a moment of panic, made a horrifying decision. He told police that he tried to break her neck, but failed. Then he strangled her. Afterwards, he took the body to a river near a neighboring town and disposed of it in the water. Naturally, this version of events raised serious doubts, but Horner gave police the exact location where he had left Athena's body. Investigators went there immediately and found her remains just as he had described. The loss of the girl shocked not only her family but thousands of people across the country. Major news outlets covered this story, and the public was horrified by the brutality of the crime. After the body was found, Horner was officially charged with abduction and murder. While awaiting the medical examiner's report, detectives began examining Horner's background in detail, trying to understand his possible motives. His version of events, that he slightly bumped the girl with his van and then killed her out of fear, didn't make much sense. The maximum penalty for a minor accident with no injuries might have been a job termination. It seemed illogical that he would react with such extreme violence. Investigators learned that Horner was engaged to be married and had a child born the year before the incident. In addition to delivering packages, he occasionally drove for Uber. He was also a musician who played in a band that performed at local cafes in nearby Fort Worth. On social media, Horner frequently posted photos of his child, his musical performances, and other everyday moments, nothing that suggested he was a dangerous person. Prior to his arrest, he had no criminal record, and police couldn't find any indications in his background that he might be capable of such a horrific act. Just 2 months before Athena's death, Horner had posted pictures of himself spending time with his son and the boy's grandparents. The wait for the official medical examiner's report lasted several weeks. In the meantime, Athena's parents filed a lawsuit against FedEx and the subcontractor company, accusing them of failing to properly vet Horner before allowing him to work. They called for stricter standards in hiring to prevent similar crimes in the future. Soon, an even more heartbreaking detail came to light. The package Horner had delivered that evening was a Christmas present for Athena. Her parents had ordered her a Barbie doll, one she had wanted for a long time. When the medical examiner's report was finally released, it raised even more questions. According to the document, the victim died within the first hour after the abduction. She had sustained injuries of varying severity, and the cause of death was listed as strangulation. However, the detective's initial theory that Horner had kidnapped Athena with the intention of committing a sexual offense was not confirmed. The medical examiners found no signs of sexual assault, which puzzled investigators, as that had been their most likely theory. No one was entirely convinced that events unfolded the way Horner claimed. His story lacked logic. Investigators suspected that Horner may have intended to assault Athena, but something disrupted his plan. According to their reconstructed timeline, after the argument with her stepmother, Athena went outside and was in the yard. Around the same time, Horner arrived to drop off the package and saw her there. Detectives believed he saw an opportunity to act on his disturbing impulses. The girl was alone, near a house surrounded by trees, hidden from view. He may have tricked her into getting into the van or intentionally hit her with the vehicle to ensure she wouldn't resist. What happened next remains unclear, but there are two main theories. One theory is that Horner planned to take Athena somewhere isolated, but when she either screamed or tried to escape, he killed her out of fear of being caught. The second theory suggests that Horner may have committed some form of inappropriate behavior that did not involve direct contact, which would explain why no physical evidence of assault was found. Soon, detectives uncovered indirect and quite unexpected evidence that this crime may indeed have had a sexual motive. Despite having no prior criminal record, Horner's background began to raise serious concerns. In most cases, individuals capable of taking another person's life don't start with such extreme actions. They usually escalate from lesser offenses. Over the course of several weeks, detectives conducted an in-depth investigation into Horner's life. They interviewed his relatives, friends, and acquaintances, looking for any sign that he might have been involved in previous crimes. Eventually, they made a breakthrough. Police located several individuals who claimed they had been victims of Horner during their childhood. In the interest of the investigation, authorities did not release the identities of these victims or the details of the incidents. However, it was revealed that one person had accused Horner of assaulting her 9 years earlier. In addition to that case, Horner was charged with 3 more counts related to inappropriate conduct with minors, all dating back to 2013. It remains unclear whether these charges involved the same victim or 3 separate individuals. And that wasn't all. It turned out that one of Horner's alleged victims had been publicly speaking out for years, saying he had abused her when she was 16. She had been posting about it on social media, trying to warn others that Horner was a dangerous predator.
I've been going back and forth on posting this for like the past 12 hours. If you've seen my Facebook posts, you've already seen it, you already know. And thousands of people have. And I'm overwhelmed by the amount of support and love that I've been receiving. The man, Tanner Lynn Horner, who murdered Athena Strand, a 7-year-old girl from Paradise, Texas. I was 16, 8 years ago. I was dealing with a lot of traumas at the time. Dealing with a lot of heartache. I had just gone through my first breakup, and was hanging out with people I shouldn't have. his friend came and picked me up one night to go to one of their bandmates' house for band practice. We got drunk. I remember going to bed. I remember him trying to cuddle with me. I remember telling him I don't want to. And then the next thing I remember is him on top of me and his sweat dripping into my mouth and being on my stomach with my hands tied, pinned behind my back. The next morning, I didn't remember what happened because I was blackout drunk. Even now, I only remember bits and pieces. Then they had their band practice the next day, and then his friend Cody drove me and him to his house, Tanner's house, where he lived with his grandparents. And he, at the time, lived in a shed in their backyard. Like he had converted it into a bedroom. We did acid that night. And at the end of the come down, which was about 8 o'clock or so, the next morning, 7 o'clock, something along those lines, he tried to have sex with me, and that's when all the memories came flooding back, and I started to panic. He wouldn't stop touching me. He wouldn't stop touching my side. He wouldn't stop touching my legs. He wouldn't stop touching my arm. He kept telling me things like, "I'm so sorry that my ex did that to you, and I would never hurt you like that, and you deserve so much more." Finally, I was able to get out of the room. He wouldn't even leave to let me get dressed. I was able to get out of the room, and I ran through the backyard, through his grandparents' bedroom, and into the kitchen. I found a piece of mail with his address on it, texted it to my friend, who got her biological mother to come pick me up. And for years, nobody believed me. I'm sorry to have to make this more than one part, but I have been screaming this man's name for 8 years. I had friends who I saw the day after my friend picked me up from his house. I saw a few friends the day of, and I told them what happened. I have never once hidden this man's name. Nobody believed me. My closest friends believed me, but as far as the general public goes, I was pretty much ridiculed and shunned from day one. He was, he called my best friend's ex, begging him to ask me not to call the cops. And I should have, but I was 16. I was already dealing with a bunch of other traumas that I was going through at the time. And I was scared. I was scared because if my peers aren't believing me, then why would the jury? I spent years on Facebook saying his name, telling my story. But it got nowhere. I'd get a few comments here and there, maybe a few reacts, but nobody really took it seriously. And when the news broke of whose name it was and people started looking him up on Facebook, they found my name in my posts that I tagged him in, or talked about him in. So I've had a few people tell me that I should come forward and tell my story, and I've received so much support, like an overwhelming amount of support. And I've gotten a few negative comments here and there, people saying that if I would have reported, then she would have been alive, and this, that, and another. But the reality is if I would have reported, he probably would have gotten out anyways. I was 16, I was drunk, I was high, like, they wouldn't have believed me.
For reasons that remain unclear, he was never prosecuted for those claims. The girl saved it for years. No one believed her. But after Athena's death, her accusations were finally taken seriously. They shed light on Horner's true character and his possible motives. Now, in addition to the charges related to Athena's murder, he would also face trial for the 4 previous abuse-related cases, though in a separate legal process. One detail may seem insignificant on its own, but in the context of all Horner's alleged actions, it offers further insight into his disturbing mindset. After his identity became public, internet users found Horner's TikTok account. There were only a few videos, but one of them stood out. Filmed just weeks before Athena's death, the video showed Horner reacting to a clip of a man catching a bug in a glass and slowly spraying it with an aerosol until it died. Watching the insect suffer, Horner's expression turned chilling, as if he were genuinely enjoying the act. If Horner truly had sadistic tendencies, if he derived pleasure from witnessing the suffering or death of another being, his claim that he killed Athena only out of fear of getting in trouble becomes even more questionable. As of now, Athena Horner remains in custody, awaiting trial for the abduction and murder of 7-year-old Athena Strand. In March 2025, a Wise County judge granted a change of venue due to the overwhelming media coverage, and the trial was officially moved to Tarrant County. The trial date is now set for April 7, 2026, and prosecutors have confirmed they will seek the death penalty. In the meantime, multiple pre-trial hearings are expected, where both sides will present motions related to witness testimony, forensic evidence, and expert analysis. Athena's family continues to fight for justice, not just in the courtroom, but through new legislation as well. Thanks to her mother's advocacy, Texas lawmakers have passed the Athena Alert Law, which allows faster regional alerts when children go missing, even before an official abduction is confirmed. This story isn't over. Thanks for watching. If this case resonated with you, consider subscribing, turning on notifications, and letting me know what do you think about this case in the comments. And what's more important, stay vigilant. Until next time.